Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Going over my cheat sheet for today's MLB main slate for today on DraftKings. And today's question is who your favorite sneaky home run call is for today's slate. That's the more fun question. So leave that in the comment below and remember to leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out and I really appreciate it. And so you don't miss any of the new content, I'd recommend hitting that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the new videos. All right, now let's get into today's slate. Oh, I will say I'm posting an NFL video pretty shortly after I record this one, so be on the lookout for that as well. And now let's get into today's slate. So at pitcher, we got some more mid-ranges options. We have Jake Odorizzi at 9,400 versus the White Sox, Anthony DeSclafani at 7,800 versus the Marlins, and Aaron Savali at 7K versus Detroit. And I apologize if I sound like I'm talking weird. I got a canker sore right here, so it's just banging my tooth every time I talk, and it kind of hurts. So I just playing through an injury here, so just got to tough it out. So let's do a little preview of the pitching sheet to see why I like the guys that I like. So let's start off. Those projections aren't updated anyway, so it doesn't matter if you guys saw it. So we have, let me sort this by salary just so I have the right order. Okay, so let's talk about Jake Odorizzi first at 9,400. This is a Coors Field slate, so I don't want to break the bank on pitching. Obviously, Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer are great pitchers. Max Scherzer is still dealing with that injury. He's not full yet. He's probably going to be in a little bit of a pitch count. Garrett Cole is just really, really expensive versus a race team who I do respect. So, and if I want to get big bats in, it wouldn't make sense to pay up for a pitcher that I don't love the spot. So give me Jake Odorizzi at a reduced price tag. He's 9,400. He's got 30 point ceiling here. He's got a good strikeout rate at 25%, which I do like. Now, he does give up some hard contact and does get a lot of ground balls, but he is going against the White Sox here. He's a decently sized favorite, nearly 200 favorite. I think it's about like negative 175, 185 right now. But that could jump up throughout the day. And if you look at the White Sox splits versus righties, it is not very good. It's good for Jake Odorizzi, but not for the White Sox. A lot of green bars here. 26.3% strikeout rate, 141 team ISO, a 293 team MOBA, and an 81 WRC plus. Just makes a lot of sense for me to use Jake Odorizzi. He's probably going to get the win here, and he's not a bad pitcher. Good strikeout upside, especially at 9,400, so makes a lot of sense, and you get like 3K savings off of Garrett Cole. And then we're going to drop down to Anthony DeSclafani at 7,800. I was actually surprised by this price tag. I don't know about recently, but recently, like about a month ago, we were paying like in the 9K range for this guy. If I'm remembering correctly, I think so. But yeah, he's not terrible. He's got a 4.47 xFIP this season, 23.8% strikeout rate, 7% walk rate. It's not too bad. Now, the hard contact rates are 40%. He does struggle with lefties. As you can see, he splits versus lefties. He is giving up 267 ISO to that 22% strikeout rate, but his numbers versus righties are absolutely elite. I shouldn't say elite, but definitely way above average. He's got a 27% strikeout rate, 154 ISO, giving up 264 WOBA, only a 3% walk rate. Do like those numbers. And he's pitching in a pitcher-friendly park in Miami. And if you look at the Marlins splits versus right-handed pitching, it's very favorable for Anthony DeSclafani here. So they have it takes a little while to scroll over. So they have a 25.1% strikeout rate to righties, 124 team ISO, which is by far the lowest on the slate, 283 team MOBA, and a 75 WRC plus. This is a great matchup for him, and he's at a very fair price. I think he's going to carry a lot of ownership tomorrow. So I think he's a fantastic spot in GPPs and cash. And honestly, if you want to make him your SP1 and use Savali as your SP2, I've got no problem with that either. Just really load up on the bats. So speaking of Savali, let's talk about him. His numbers this season are not that bad. He does not have a huge sample size, but the ERA at 1.82 is nice, but we like to use xFIP, which is at 4.45, so regression, I guess, would be coming, but I do not see that coming against a Detroit team. He's got only 5% walk rate, which I do like. He's been really good versus lefties. Again, small sample size, so I'm not really going to look at those numbers, but I do like the matchup versus the Tigers, which we do have a big enough sample size to use, obviously. So a lot of green bars here. 26.5% strikeout rate, 149 team ISO, 283 team MOBA, and if it would scroll over, 73 WRC plus. He should get the win here with Jordan Zimmerman on the mound. And at 7K, I think he's going to be possibly the highest owned pitcher. I could see him being the highest on pitcher, then DeSclafani and Odorizzi being the next highest on pitchers, just the way this slate's going to go. So I like all three of those guys. I love Savali. He's my favorite option just from a value standpoint, so got no problem with him. And that's my thoughts on pitcher tomorrow. Obviously, don't play Detweiler or Lambert or Hirado. So now let's get into the bats. So let's start at catcher. We have, again, I'm just projecting who's going to be in the lineup. I honestly have no idea if Leon or Mathis will be in the lineup. It's only 7 p.m. the day before, so I'm just guessing here. Trying my best. But Mitch Garver at 5,400. He's been great versus lefties this season. Ross Detweiler has not been great versus righties this season. And I love the Twins in this matchup, especially the righties, and the White Sox bullpen's not very good. So I do like Mitch Garver a lot if you have the salary for it. But honestly, if I'm going to pay up for any position, or if I'm going to pay up for anyone, it's probably not going to be Mitch Garver at 5,400. There's a lot of good outfielders, a lot of good shortstops, a lot of good third basemen. But if you want to be contrarian and doing a full twin stack, Mitch Garver is an excellent option. He tends to lead off versus lefties. Sandy Leon, I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup. I was hoping he was going to be in the lineup tonight, but he wasn't. But if he is, Lambert sucks versus lefties. Leon's a switch hitter. He makes sense. Jeff Mathis is a punt play at 2K versus a lefty, where he's got better numbers versus lefties. Now, those numbers aren't very good, but still just better numbers overall. My mouth is dry. Okay, now let's get to first base. We have Mitch Moreland. He is very expensive at 5,300, but Peter Lambert sucks versus lefties. Moreland is good versus righties. It's science. It just makes sense to want to play him in Coors Field. CJ Cron at 4,400 versus Ross Detweiler. CJ Cron is very, very good versus lefties. This is a good home run call. And again, if you're stacking up the Twins, do not leave CJ Cron and Nelson Cruz and Mitch Garver off your lineups. Then we have Matt Adams versus, I still don't know how to say this guy's name, Asher Wojciechowski. I might be close. I think that's the best I've done so far. I like to say guys' names right, but this guy, I don't know. I've never heard the announcer say his name, to be honest. So, but yeah, Matt Adams, he's good versus righties. The Nationals are a negative over 400 favorite, and that's like with a 9.5 over under. So runs are expected to be scored here. The Orioles bullpen is not very good, and Asher is not the best pitcher. He's allowing a lot of fly balls, so could be a good shot for a home run here. And Matt Adams and Juan Soto are my two favorite options on the Nationals to do so. Now, second base, Brock Holt, if he's in the lineup, he ended up being in the lineup last night, whenever you're watching this, so I plugged him in my lineup. He was really cheap, and he was hitting slicks, so I do like that a lot. And if he's in the same position as tomorrow, I think he's a fantastic play on your Red Sox stacks. He's affordable. Josh Van Goat, 4,200, always seems to produce for me, and he's facing a righty, so I had to put him in the cheat sheet. Not a good part for hitting, but still. And then we have Jason Kipnis, 3,700. He actually just hit a bomb earlier, and he's just been good. He was terrible in the beginning of the year. He's really turned it up. Going against Jordan Zimmerman, he should be batting around 5th. I think he's one of the best plays on the slate from a value standpoint, and he is a core play for me. Then at third base, we have Rafael Devers at 5,800. I'm assuming he's going to hit a home run tonight. He better. He's in my lineup, and he's just been absolutely awesome. He's the highest priced batter on the slate. I think he's tied with a couple guys, but still tied for first. But like I said, Lambert's really bad versus lefties. Devers is elite versus righties. It's Coors Field. He makes a lot of sense. I'd really try to get him in your lineup. If you're picking one Coors bat, that would be my favorite bat to fit in. And then, he's like really close with JD Martinez and Mookie Betts, but still. And then Nolan Arenado facing a lefty. Now, Erod's not a scrub pitcher or anything, so I'm a little low on the Rockies, but I had to put Nolan Arenado in the cheat sheet just because he's facing a lefty in Coors Field. Then we have Asdrubal Cabrera at 4,200. If you guys don't know, he's on the Nationals now. He's not on the Rangers anymore. And he's better versus right-handed pitching, and Asher will struggle a little bit with lefties, and, it's going against Baltimore, so do like him if you sit in the middle of the order. Shortstop, now don't complain that I have a bunch of high price guys in here because I gave you guys two low price pitchers to use, and only 9,400 is my most expensive pitcher I'm looking at. So you can afford these guys, and shortstop's one of the positions I'd want to spend up on. I'm really liking Francisco Lindor though at 4,900. He's cheaper than the rest of these guys, and he gets a great matchup versus Jordan Zimmerman. Low strikeout pitcher, high ISOs to each side of the plate. Lindor is an awesome player, and he's going to be hitting leadoff, so I love Lindor tomorrow. I honestly should have made him a core play, but let's do it right now. Just do it on the fly. Give me some Lindor. 4,900. Love Lindor tomorrow, and I am a biased Indians fan, so bake that into your considerations, but I think he's a fantastic play. And then Xander Bogaerts, 5,500. I know like the lefty's better versus Lambert, but that doesn't mean Lambert's very good versus righties either. It's Coors Field. Give me all the Red Sox I can handle tomorrow. Trevor Story versus lefty in Coors Field. Trevor Story's actually been better versus righties this season, but still, just a rule of law. You kind of play Story and Arenado in Coors Field versus lefties. And then in the high-end outfield, we have the entire Red Sox outfield, so that includes Mookie Betts, JD Martinez, Benintendi if he's playing, Jackie Bradley, although he's really expensive at 4,700, and I will never play Jackie Bradley at 4,700 in my life, so don't play him. But I'd love Mookie Betts and JD Martinez. Then Nelson Cruz at 5,500 versus a lefty in Ross Detweiler. This is one of the top home run calls of the slate. He should go lower owned considering this is a Coors Field slate. And Mike Trout's on the slate as well, so I definitely love Nelson Cruz. He's got as much upside as anybody on this slate. Mike Trout 5,400 versus Ariel Hirado. Now, Mike Trout is the best hitter in the league versus righties. He's the best player in baseball. Hirado will struggle with righties. He gives up more power to righties. And I forget if it was Adrian Sampson or Hirado, but I just remember he went double dong versus one of those two guys who both struggle with righties. But nonetheless, doesn't matter. Hirado's not the best pitcher in the world. Mike Trout, best batter in the world. Makes a lot of sense to me. I have him as a core play. Now, I know in stacks, if you're doing like a Red Sox stack, don't leave out JD Martinez for Mike Trout because that doesn't make sense. But in cash games, I think Mike Trout's an awesome way to go. I have no problem at all if you want to end up going with Mookie Betts or JD Martinez in cash over Mike Trout. But I think Mike Trout's possibly the best play in the entire slate. Possibly. He's definitely like top 5. And then in the mid-range outfield, we have Adam Eaton at 4,800. He's really expensive, but I do like the matchup versus Wojciechowski. Thinking I'm getting that name down, actually. Wojciechowski, I think. Shohei Ohtani, 4,900 versus Hirado. Angels have one of the higher implied totals of the slate versus Hirado, and I do like the entire Angels outfield. They have a lot of good plays from here. And the next guy, Cole Calhoun, 4,300. Much cheaper. Hirado is better versus lefties, but it doesn't mean he's really good versus lefties either. And then we have the value outfield with Josh Meter, who I already talked about. Franmil Reyes at 4K. I can see him having some ownership. He's only 4,000 going against Zimmerman. Zimmerman's got a low strikeout rate. Reyes has a high strikeout rate, but he's got a ton of power versus righties, and it's good that he's going against a low strikeout pitcher, so he makes a lot of sense for me. Yasiel Puig, same boat as Reyes. Desmond, 4K versus a lefty in Coors Field. Justin Upton has been better versus righties this season. Hirado is worse versus righties. It makes perfect sense to like Upton tomorrow. Chris Davis, he's cheap. He might get a cheap home run. I mean, Junis does give us some power. But, wouldn't surprise me if Davis got -5. I mean, he'd find a way to do it somehow. I don't know. And then for the core plays, we have Aaron Savali at 7,000, Jason Kipnis at 3,700, Francisco Lindor at 4,900, and then Mike Trout at 5,400. But again, you can replace him for Mookie Betts or JD Martinez if that's what you feel more comfortable with. Honestly, I might too, but I just love this spot for Mike Trout, and I wanted to be a little bit different. Then the top stacks for me are the Red Sox, obviously, versus Lambert in Coors Field, the Indians versus Jordan Zimmerman, the Twins versus Ross Detweiler, the Nats versus Asher, and the Angels versus Hirado. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for the video. Remember to leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be doing a lot more content for NFL when that comes out, and I'm sure a lot of you are excited for NFL. And then I do NASCAR too. There was an off week for NASCAR, but we're back to it. I know NASCAR is going to start taking a hit, though, especially with NFL starting on Sunday, so it kind of sucks. But if you're still interested in NASCAR, I'm still going to be doing that. Yeah, I will leave you guys with that. Have a great Wednesday, and yeah, best of luck, but I think I already said that.